Peppa Pig looks simple, but it isn't. If you watch closely, you'll notice characters appearing in the background, changing roles, or disappearing completely like they were never meant to exist. Some of them are easy to miss, others are hiding in plain sight, and a few are so strange that fans had to name them before the show even did. These are the hidden characters in Peppa Pig you probably never noticed. 10. Mr. Labrador, the man with too many jobs. Mr. Labrador is one of those characters who feels familiar, even if you can't remember when you first saw him. He usually appears alongside Mr. Bull during construction scenes, helping dig up roads or operating machinery like he's part of a permanent work crew in Peppa Town. But unlike Mr. Bull, he never really gets a proper introduction. He just shows up, does his job, and leaves. What makes him interesting is how casually he changes careers. One moment he's working construction, the next moment he's running an ice cream van. And somehow, it feels completely normal inside the Peppa universe. His personality stays consistent though. Calm voice, relaxed attitude, practical mindset.
All part of the fun with diggers!
Peppa and George love diggers. Everyone loves diggers.
He always sounds like someone who could fix a road, repair your kitchen, and sell you dessert all in the same day, which raises a strange question. Is Mr. Labrador actually a construction worker, or is he just someone who works wherever he's needed? Because once you start noticing him, you realize he appears more often than you thought, but never enough to become important. He's one of Peppa Pig's best examples of a character hiding in plain sight.
A pothole! Mr. Bull is digging up the road.
9. Carol Cow, the fan-made character that became real. Carol Cow might be the strangest case in the entire show, because she wasn't originally a real character at all. Her first appearance is just a background calf sitting in an audience during an episode. No name, no dialogue, no explanation. Most viewers wouldn't even notice her, but fans did. People online kept spotting her in small scenes, usually standing near Mrs. Cow like she was part of the family. Since she didn't have a name, fans started calling her Carol Cow. And eventually, the show accepted it. She became canon, officially recognized as Mrs. Cow's daughter. But then something weird happened. After appearing a few times, she disappeared again. No storyline, no explanation, nothing. And the most confusing detail? She doesn't even appear at her own mother's wedding to Mr. Bull, which creates a very uncomfortable question inside the Peppa Pig universe. If Mr. Bull is now her stepfather, why do we never see them together? Where did Carol Cow go? It's one of those tiny mysteries that makes you realize Peppa Pig isn't always consistent with its characters. 8. Mr. Bull, hidden in plain sight. Mr. Bull isn't hidden because he's rare. He's hidden because he's everywhere. Anytime something breaks in Peppa Town, Mr. Bull appears. Road damaged? Mr. Bull. Hole in the ground? Mr. Bull. Construction needed? Mr. Bull. He functions almost like the town's emergency button. His personality is incredibly simple. He loves digging, he loves construction, and he's completely confident that he can fix anything. It's funny, but it also serves a purpose. Characters like Mr. Bull create the feeling that Peppa's world is bigger than just the main cast. There are adults working in the background, maintaining the town and keeping everything running smoothly. In a way, he represents the hidden infrastructure of the Peppa universe. And because we see him so often, we stop questioning him. We just accept that if there's a problem, Mr. Bull will show up. But the next characters on this list are even more unusual, because some of them almost don't exist at all. And once you notice them, you'll never stop seeing them. 7. Mandy Mouse, the character you saw before you knew her. Mandy Mouse is one of the most interesting hidden characters in Peppa Pig, because technically she appears before she even exists. Most viewers remember her from the episode where she properly joins the playgroup, the one where it's explained that she uses a wheelchair because her legs don't work very well.
Why do you have a wheelchair, Mandy? Because my legs don't work like yours. Can you…
The show treats this detail in a very natural way. There's no dramatic speech, no emotional build-up, nothing heavy. She's simply introduced as another kid. But if you go back carefully, you can actually spot Mandy earlier. She makes a brief appearance in the London episode before her official debut, rolling through the background like she already belongs there. It's a tiny moment that most people completely miss unless they're looking for it. And that's what makes her unique. It feels like the writers quietly introduced her before giving her a storyline, almost like they wanted her presence to feel natural when she finally became part of the group. There's also another detail that makes Mandy stand out. She isn't slower than the other kids. In fact, she's faster. The show even points out that her wheelchair gives her an advantage in certain activities, turning expectations upside down in a really clever way. Instead of being portrayed as limited, Mandy is shown as capable.
Mandy, you're good.
I know, I'm brilliant.
Sometimes even more capable than everyone else. It's one of the most effortless examples of inclusivity in children's animation. And yet, her early cameo remains hidden in plain sight for most viewers. 6. Molly Mole, the student who appears when needed. Molly Mole exists in a very strange way inside Peppa Pig. She's definitely part of the playgroup, but only sometimes. Unlike characters like Susie Sheep or Rebecca Rabbit, Molly doesn't appear consistently across episodes. She tends to show up when the classroom needs extra kids, large group scenes, school activities, or episodes where the writers want the playgroup to feel more populated. Then she disappears again. It almost feels like she lives underground, which is actually kind of accurate for a mole.
Where do you live, Molly? We've moved in underneath Rebecca's house. Come and see.
Her first major appearance is in the episode that introduces her character, but after that,
We have a new pupil.
Hello, I'm Molly Mole.
she mostly pops up in background-heavy moments. She'll say a line, react to something funny, and then blend back into the crowd. But when you pay attention, you realize she does have a personality. She can be slightly bossy, confident, the kind of kid who wants to take control for a moment before stepping back again. That small bit of attitude makes her memorable, but not enough to turn her into a main character. And that leads to an interesting question. How many students are actually in Madame Gazelle's class? Because depending on the episode, the number changes. Sometimes the classroom feels small and personal. Other times, it suddenly feels full of kids you barely recognize. Molly Mole is one of the biggest clues that the playgroup population isn't fixed. It expands and contracts depending on the story, which makes her feel like a character who exists, but only when necessary. 5. Penny Polar Bear, the part-time resident of Peppa Town. Penny Polar Bear is another character who feels important, even though she doesn't appear very often. Her introduction is memorable. She arrives as the new kid, confidently introducing herself with a strong personality that immediately separates her from the others.
I'm Penny Polar Bear. I live with my mummy and my other mummy.
Unlike background characters who quietly blend in, Penny has presence. She's competitive, assertive, and not afraid to speak up. In one episode, she even argues with Peppa and Danny Dog about whose sunflower is tallest.
Yes!
Oh, I wonder which sunflower is the tallest. Mine!
No, mine!
Which shows she isn't just there to fill space. She has opinions, reactions, and emotions that make her feel like a real member of the group. But then something strange happens. After her introduction, she disappears for long periods. Then she returns again later, almost like she was always there. That inconsistency gives her a very unusual feeling, like she belongs to Peppa's world, but only visits occasionally. There are also small design details that make her stand out. She's one of the few playgroup kids who wears glasses. Her background connects to the Arctic through her family. Her interests, like ice hockey, match her polar bear identity perfectly. All of this gives her a strong character identity, which makes her limited appearances even more noticeable. It's almost like Penny exists between two worlds, part of the main cast, but not fully integrated into it, and that's exactly what makes her feel hidden. The characters so far have mostly been kids from Peppa's playgroup, but the next hidden characters are different, because they belong to another layer of the Peppa Pig universe entirely. Older kids, one-episode adults, and characters whose stories feel unfinished. And once you notice them, you start realizing just how big Peppa Town actually is. 4. Belinda Bear, the character from the older kids' world. Belinda Bear is hidden in a completely different way compared to the other characters. She isn't hard to notice. She's hard to place, because Belinda belongs to a part of the Peppa Pig universe that we almost never see. The world of older kids. We first meet her when Peppa interacts with her cousin Chloe Pig's friend group. Immediately, there's a clear difference. These kids act more mature. They talk differently. They behave like they've emotionally moved past things, like jumping in muddy puddles. And Belinda fits perfectly into that group.
You didn't tell us you had baby cousins, Chloe.
I'm not a baby, but you're both little. I'm a big...
She casually calls George babyish. She refers to Peppa and George as little kids. She acts like children's music is beneath her, before eventually enjoying it anyway. It's a very realistic portrayal of how slightly older kids behave around younger ones. But the clearest proof of her age comes later. In the skateboarding episode, Belinda mentions that she's nearly 10 years old, which is significantly older than Peppa and her friends.
But only because we're older than you.
Yes, we're almost grown-ups.
I'm nearly 10.
Wow!
That one line quietly confirms something important about the Peppa universe. There are age layers. We just rarely see them. Belinda even takes on a teaching role in that episode, helping Peppa learn how to skateboard and checking if she's okay after falls. For a moment, she feels less like another child and more like a responsible preteen. Design-wise, she stands out too. Her pale pink glasses and striped dress are slightly different from most characters, making her visually memorable. But because the show focuses mainly on Peppa's age group, Belinda only appears occasionally. She isn't hidden because she blends into the background. She's hidden because her world exists outside Peppa's daily life. 3. Mr. Bear, the character that only exists once. Mr. Bear might be the purest definition of a hidden character in Peppa Pig, because he only appears one time. He shows up in a single episode, and then he's gone. No recurring appearances, no background cameos, no references later. Just one appearance and disappearance. That alone makes him easy to forget. Peppa Pig has many adult characters who appear repeatedly. Miss Rabbit, Mr. Bull, Daddy Pig's friends. So viewers naturally expect characters to return. But Mr. Bear breaks that pattern completely. He exists only for the purpose of one story. And once that story ends, so does he. What makes this interesting is how memory works for viewers, especially children. When a character appears only once, the brain often treats them as unimportant. Over time, people forget they were ever there at all. So when fans talk about characters who feel erased from Peppa Pig, Mr. Bear is usually near the top of the list, not because he's mysterious on purpose, but because the show never gives him another chance to exist. 2. Mrs. Badger, the character with the missing family. Mrs. Badger feels like she should be a major character. She runs a large potato farm. She has a strong personality. She plays a central role in her main episode, and yet, she barely appears afterward. Her biggest spotlight comes in the episode where she introduces Peppa and the others to her farm. She speaks with a distinct West Country accent.
Hello there, my lovelies. I'm Mrs. Badger the farmer.
Hello!
Now, before we meet the animals,
Confidently explaining how everything works while guiding the children through the animals and crops. The farm itself is enormous, so large that Daddy Pig jokes about it being Potato City. That scale makes her feel important inside the Peppa universe. She isn't just a random adult. She's someone who runs a significant part of the local economy. But then comes the strange detail. The show mentions that she's married to Mr. Badger, yet we almost never see him. He's barely referenced, rarely shown. And her family life feels incomplete compared to other characters, whose spouses and children are clearly established. It creates the sense that something is missing from her story, like there's an entire part of her life that exists off-screen, which is unusual for Peppa Pig, where family structures are normally very visible. Mrs. Badger ends up feeling like a main character, who somehow became a side character, and that quiet inconsistency makes her one of the most overlooked adults in the show. So far, we've seen characters who disappear, characters who belong to different social worlds, and characters who only exist briefly. But the next one is the strangest of all, because he feels like a main character every time he appears. And yet, he technically existed before the show even introduced him, and once you notice that detail, you'll never look at him the same way again. 1. Daddy Fox, the character that existed before his introduction. Daddy Fox, also known as Mr. Fox, is one of those characters who feels important every time he appears. He runs the shop, he interacts with multiple families, he has a strong personality, and yet, there's something genuinely strange about his existence in the Peppa Pig timeline, because technically, he appeared before he was introduced. Most viewers know him as Freddie Fox's dad, the confident owner of the Everything Shop, a place where you can ask for almost any random item and he'll somehow have it in stock. His personality is instantly recognizable: smooth talker, friendly, slightly mysterious confidence. When he proudly says his shop has everything, it almost feels like he's running a superhero supply store instead of a small-town business. But here's where things get weird. In one earlier episode, his name and voice actor appear in the end credits, before he's ever properly introduced on screen as Freddie Fox's father. That creates a strange timeline inconsistency. Either he was originally meant to appear in that episode and got cut at the last moment, or the character technically existed in the production before his physical debut was ready, which is honestly very fitting. Because Daddy Fox has always had this almost myth-like presence in Peppa Town. The guy who can sell you anything, accept buttons as payment, and appear exactly when you need him. There's even a subtle joke hidden in one episode where he casually walks past Grandpa Pig's chicken coop at night. A tiny fox reference slipped into the background for attentive viewers. He feels like a main character, but his timeline says otherwise, and that makes him one of the weirdest hidden characters in the entire show. Why Peppa Pig has so many hidden characters? Once you start noticing these characters, a bigger question appears. Why does Peppa Pig have so many background characters that feel inconsistent? The answer is actually pretty interesting. Peppa Pig is designed to feel like a real community, not just a small group of main characters, but an entire town full of families, jobs, and social connections. Background characters help create that illusion of a living world, but animation production also plays a role. Sometimes characters are created for a specific episode and never reused. Other times, they're reused randomly when the story needs extra people. And occasionally, fans notice background figures so often that they become official characters, like Carol Cow. So what looks like inconsistency is often just the result of storytelling, production choices, and audience interaction blending together. And strangely, that's part of the charm, because Peppa Town feels bigger than what we see on screen. For children watching the show, these characters probably don't seem mysterious at all. They're just part of the background. But for viewers paying closer attention, older kids, parents, or longtime fans, these small inconsistencies create curiosity. They make the world feel layered, like there are stories happening beyond the main episodes. Who is Mr. Labrador when he's not working? Where did Carol Cow disappear to? How many students are actually in the playgroup? What does Daddy Fox do outside his shop? These unanswered questions quietly expand the universe, and that's why hidden characters matter. They make Peppa Pig feel alive. If you want more Peppa Pig hidden details, theories, and things the show quietly sneaks into the background, make sure to check out the other videos on the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.